Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Gisina Shatari and today I will be explaining an experiment called a class divided experiment. This experiment was conducted by Jane Elliott, a teacher in 1968 in Iowa, United States of America. This experiment was conducted on all white rural Iowa's third grader student to teach the student a lesson about discrimination. This experiment was inspired by the assassination of Martin Luther King, who is an African American minister and an activist. This experiment also have been adapted into one of the episodes of a film called Frontline.
Next is hypothesis. Jane Elliott, a third grade school teacher, conducted this experiment to make her students understand about racism. The hypothesis for a class divided experiment is praises and condemnation from someone else or even ourselves can affect our emotions and attitude. Reason why I chose this hypothesis is because Jane Elliott wanted to show that people will act differently and their behavior is influenced by comment from someone else or even ourselves. Therefore, it will expose the student about racism and make them understand the feeling of being neglected.
The brown-eyed people do not get to use the drinking fountain. You'll have to use the paper cups. You brown-eyed people are not to play with the blue-eyed people on the playground because you are not as good as blue-eyed people. Well, the brown-eyed people in this room today are going to wear collars.
Moving on, what is the research method that Jane Elliott used in the... Well, to start with, there are 3 research methods in social psychology, which is the first one is systematic observation, the second one is correlation, and the third one is experimental method. Well, in a class divided experiment that have been conducted by Jane Elliott, she used the systematic observation research method, which is a method to either agree or disagree with the hypothesis given. Moreover, systematic observation typically involves specification of the exact actions, attributes, or other variables that are to be recorded and precisely how they are to be recorded. The intent is to ensure that under the same or similar circumstances, all observers will obtain the same results.
Now, moving on to the results of the experiment. As we are informed, there were 2 main groups within the experiment, the majority group and the minority group. So, on the first day of the experiment, the majority group would be referring to the children with blue eyes, while the minority group would be referring to the children with brown eyes. Let us delve into the reaction of the minority group towards this experiment on the first day. So, on the first day of the experiment, the minority group, as in the brown-eyed children, felt sad throughout the whole day due to the lack of attention given by their teachers. They were given unpreferential treatment, hence, they felt unappreciated. They were less active in class. They took more time to complete tasks as compared to the majority group, and they were less motivated in class. Finally, the quality of their work was deterred within class due to the fact that they felt like they didn't have to try because it wouldn't affect anything. Moving on, the reaction of the majority group. So, the majority group within this context would be referring to the children with blue eyes. So how did they react to the experiment on the first day? On the first day, the majority group spoke a lot more confidently in class because they always received praise throughout class and they felt appreciated throughout the class. They actively participated in class and they were constantly happy due to the amount of overwhelming attention given by their teacher. Finally, what happened when the roles were reversed? So, when the roles were reversed, when the majority group of the first day was switched to the minority group and vice versa, on the second day, what happened? So, when the brown-eyed children were switched to the preferential treatment, They became a lot more active in class on the second day. They took less time to complete their work as compared to their work on the first day, and they felt a lot happier within class.
Last but not least, we move on to the lesson of the experiment. What we learned from this experiment. Before that, this is truly a groundbreaking experiment and it's still used in schools today to evaluate the long-term effects of racial stereotypes in school. Racial stereotype is a system of beliefs about typical characteristics of members in a group, like ethnic group and etc. However, this experiment also had a lesson for the business world and for ourselves and our self-esteem. Actually, what our belief about ourselves is what we will become. What we say to ourselves, either our inner thoughts and beliefs, is what we will become. The words we use to describe ourselves will evoke powerful feelings within us that will affect our behavior and therefore our productivity at work. Just like the blue-eyed children on their day of preferential treatment, we can channel strong self-belief by how we speak to ourselves and even more importantly, how we coach and direct our team. That's all for the social experiment, which is a class divided by Jen Elliott. Thank you.
Because I'm blue-eyed.
See, I am too.
There's nothing, it's not funny, it's not fun, it's not pleasant. This is a filthy, nasty word called discrimination. We're treating people a certain way because they are different from the rest of us. Is that fair?
No.